What is going on? Welcome back to Trending Stocks. I want to talk to you about SoFi. I want to go over some of the current data points, break it down on what is causing SoFi so much anguish today and where things might be going from here. Before I get into any of that, make sure to hit that thumbs up and subscribe. Always greatly appreciate that. And with that said, let's get right to it. SoFi right now is down 3.13%. Just in this one chart right here, you see so much. So you see kind of euphoria, then you see massive panic, then you see value. Kind of a crazy day because leading into obviously what happened before CPI caused all of this anguish, there was a lot of optimism, especially as a result of this. So web traffic did come out, and this is very, very good. So 13 million in October, 12.8 million in November, and 15.07 million in December. So record highs. And there is a very good correlation between this and member growth. Even more of a reason why their upcoming Q4 earnings is going to be a home run earnings. So this is kind of what was influencing SoFi pre-market. And in the past couple of days, it did really struggle with this 860 mark. So it was actually looking as though it was going to break above that and potentially $9 and whatever else. But then obviously CPI just said, hold my beer. And obviously there we have it. So 806 is the low. As far as CPI though, it did come in a little bit higher on a both month over month and year over year basis. So 3.4 versus 3.2. So that was very high, even a lot higher than a lot of institutions. I think there was only one analyst that assumed 3.4 and they probably just threw that number out there. And looking at month over month, even that was significantly higher. So 0.3 versus the 0.2. And if you are going to be looking at that information and analyzing it, the energy component was dramatically lower, so even more damaging to the broader economy. So all of this is factoring into the broader market and affecting growth stocks such as SoFi, because the CPI data, yes, you can just read it for face value, but that does truly mean that the Feds are not going to be cutting rates anytime soon and probably will be second half of 2024. So something to kind of consider. So it's more repercussions afterwards. As far as volume, 33.01 million shares have been traded, 44 is the average. Today, there has been no actual news from SoFi itself, no SEC filings, nothing like that, other than this, of course, so the web traffic or whatever else. Surprisingly enough, though, I did say that shorts were going to double down if CPI data was going to be negative. And they're actually not doing that with SoFi. Every other growth stock, like for instance, I cover that you can kind of see right here, all of these are getting massacred by shorts. With SoFi though, oddly enough, shorts are returning 124.47 thousand shares. So I see this as bullish, if you ask me. 13.44% of the free float is being shorted, 120.23 million shares overall are being shorted, and cost to borrow average is 0.86%. And through Interactive Broker, short availability does indicate that there's around more than 10 million shares available to be shorted. And so as I've said in the past, with there being more than 10 million shares available to be shorted, if shorts were really doubtful about SoFi going up, they could easily double down, triple down, quadruple down on SoFi, but they're not. So I see this as bullish. Aside from that though, talking on some data points, going over options activity, currently $3.19 million in calls being purchased versus 1.17 million in puts. Sentiment wise, it is 50-50, so not really much to kind of analyze for this. Of the call options that are being purchased, it is anticipated for it to be above 850, so that's kind of a good thing. It did go down a little bit sentiment wise, of course. Looking at puts, it is anticipated for it to be sub $8. So both kind of make sense when it comes to the technicals. And talking on some support and resistance points, as I've said over the last several days, it was kind of boring for SoFi. So not really much action. Of course, it kind of moved here and there, but it was more so consolidating, not really doing all that much. Today, this S1, so this $8.10 support, finally got some action. So it did have 806 as a low, but this 810 did hold, bounced off of that. So this is where we are now. So currently at 821, so down 3.24%. Hopefully today is just consolidation. People are trying to digest CPI data and just everything else. And then in reality, maybe tomorrow or going into next week, you will see it touch this pivot point of 873. So that's going to be the next strong resistance point. So let me know your thoughts on that in the comments below. But a lot of you are big fans of the Elliott wave technicals, and this is showing more of a continuation of a breakdown because this does show a pivot of 941. So for as long as it is trading below 941, then it is anticipated to go anywhere between 582 and 640 in the short term. So in my opinion, I feel like this is kind of overkill, but like I said, especially I've played a lot of videos over the last little bit, a lot of analysts are saying just the market is still too overdone. The Magnificent Seven, just the valuations are too high. So the broader market does need to pull down. So maybe this is factoring in an anticipated broader pullback. I'm not really sure. Do you think this is realistic between maybe 580 and 640? Or do you think that it is going to go higher into around the $9 range? So what's your thoughts on that? Big money isn't necessarily doing all that much today, so these are some of the transactions that have occurred on the secondary market above $100,000. So despite the higher volume, as I've been saying, a lot of it is just algorithmic trading. As you can kind of tell though, shorts and just big money are doing some movement. So as you can kind of see right here, there is a lot of buying that is happening, causing it to go higher. So a lot of manual entry. So that's kind of a good thing if that makes sense. Number of retail investors are starting to get back in today, so they are buying the dip if that makes sense. And then over and above that, looking at stochastic, you do see it at 9, so that is considered very oversold and no defined trend right now for this. So let me know your thoughts. Give yourself a shout out. Did you buy some SoFi today? Did you sell? What did you do with SoFi behind the scenes? Don't forget to hit that thumbs up and subscribe. I always greatly appreciate that. And with all that said, I appreciate all of you watching.